In this video, I'm going to show you 10 hidden features inside of Close CRM that can make your life way easier. And most of these are not obvious. This is after years and years of using Close CRM and over, 200 different implementations of Close CRM that we found these little things inside of the system. So, the first one I want to show you is when we are trying to create speed to lead specifically for dialing. Okay. And Close CRM is one of the best platforms for dialing because it has everything inside of here. You don't have to have external dialers and all that other nonsense. So, what I want to show you is if we come into like a dial party smart view. Now, we got other videos on the channel. You can check those out for dialing and dial parties specifically. But in here, we can see we have a new activity, which is pulling in BSL opt-ins. And then we're removing anyone that has a strategy session booked. And then we're also removing things like incoming communications, communication was today, or certain statuses that we want to pull out. So pretty basic smart view. Now, here's the secret sauce. If you come up to the top right hand corner, you can click on columns. And when you click on columns, you can add all these different things. So what we actually want to do is add date created into here. So you should see created. And then you can also come down to calls. That's going to be under here. And then we're going to do number of outgoing calls and we're going to click apply. Okay. Now, when we do this, we can see the number of outgoing calls that lead and date was created. Now, the beauty here is that we can click on this sort button that most people don't really know about. And when we click on this sort button, we can actually sort ascending or descending based on any of these properties. So what we're going to do is we're going to add, you can add up to 3 of these in total. So we're going to select date created. And then we're also going to pick another field right here, and we're going to do number of calls. Okay. So now we can see here that we are sorting first by date created and then number of calls. Now you can actually drag this and replace these. So now we can sort by calls first, then date created. So I want to do date created. So we want the newest at the top, and we can just verify by looking at this. So we want to switch this to descending. And now we can see that 12/5/25 and then 7/13/2023. So those are in the right order. When your list is bigger, obviously it's going to be easier. These are just test leads inside of here. But then we have number of calls. So we can also sort by the number of calls by ascending or descending. Now, you see how that didn't switch these 2 leads because we're sorting by the number of calls, but the date created is taking priority over this. Okay. So essentially, we want to go by date created, and then we can even add a third one. Now, what would you add for like a third one? You can add all kinds of stuff. So if you have any custom fields in here, you can add those directly inside of here. So maybe you pull in the credit score, or maybe you pull in their income based off of your application. Now you can also rank by that. Now, another really good one is to use the confidence percentage. So depending on the confidence of the actual thing, let's say it's a follow-up smart view. If you have your sales rep skilling out the confidence on the actual opportunity, then we can sort by confidence. Now, if you notice, I added confidence here, but we can't see it here. So all you have to do is click here and then find confidence percent over here and add that to this. Okay. So pretty straightforward, but a really powerful thing to organize your leads, especially when you have 2, 3, 5, 1,000 different leads inside of here. We can, instead of splitting it into multiple smart views, we can just organize it properly. Now, the other one is getting rid of useless tasks inside of your inbox. And I'm guessing a lot of you have seen all of the tasks where your inbox is filled up with like email reminders or scheduling confirmations and these different things. All we have to do to completely eliminate these is click on this little gear icon right here. And what this is going to do is customize your primary tab. So when we click this, look at that. We have all this different stuff connected. So we have auto responses, out of office messages, meeting responses, etc. We have call tasks, we have opportunities, we have email follow-ups, we have email from potential contacts and leads. Most of you do not need this. So we can uncheck those and then we can click apply. And that's going to clean up your inbox and make sure that you only have the stuff that you really want inside of your inbox. Now, the next one is how to create high priority tasks. So if we come into 123 Main Street lead here, for example, we can create a task and all we have to do is create it and then check this box right here. Now, when we do this, it's actually going to prioritize that task in our inbox and we can see that it has this little red mark. So very simple thing, but very powerful when we're creating a bunch of tasks. We might have 20, 30 different tasks in our inbox, but we want to set apart some of the most important important ones. Okay. Now, another really cool one is if we come into leads, we can see these different things here. Now, a lot of people don't know that you can click right here and we have this calculate property. So if we click calculate, we can start calculating property. So we can see count is empty, count is not empty, the percentage of empty or the percentage of not empty. So if I select this, it is going to actually create a calculated field for that. Okay. So again, these are tiny things that take your account from being just okay to being great. Now, if your entire account structure is not in place, if you don't have a real system set up, feel free to click the link in the description below, schedule a time to talk to me or someone on my team, and we'll definitely point you in the right direction. Make sure you have an actual usable system where we're able to increase the amount of quality conversations, we're able to decrease no-shows, we're able to optimize your actual ad spend so that you can spend more so you can scale comfortably and everything else will be easier down the line. Now, the next one on the list I have here is viewing sales reps' inboxes. So, one of the questions that I get all the time is like, well, how do I know if my sales reps are doing the things that they're supposed to be doing? And one of the beauties about Close CRM is as a manager, I can come in here and I can quickly review someone else's entire inbox. Okay. So, I can click on this right here, and any users you see in here, you're going to actually see the list of users. Now, if you select that user, you're going to view their actual inbox. And this is useful in two cases. So one would be as a manager, I can go in and I can review, are there any unread text messages or how are our communications going? What does the inbox look like? Do we have a million tasks that we shouldn't have set up? So we can actually have visibility into their inbox. Now, the second big use case here is if you guys want to share inboxes. So maybe a sales rep is out for the day. Well, one sales rep can go into the other's inbox and answer messages, etc. Okay. So that is extremely useful. I love doing that as a sales manager, as a sales leader, is to go in there and just see what is actually happening. What kind of communication is happening? Did we miss any SMS that we should have responded to that are just sitting inside of the inbox? Okay. Now, this next one is specifically for workflows. So, one thing you need to make sure is if you have a workflow set up and we are assigning it to a team, for example, we trigger the workflow to send a pre-call SMS. We have to make sure send as is turned on. So, we have to come over here to communication. So, settings, communication, and then we want to go to send as. And when we click on send as, we're going to have allowed by you and then allowed by others. And we need to make sure everyone in our organization has this toggled on that is going to be using a workflow. Okay. So we just want to toggle that on. Now, if I had other users, I can actually add other users that can send as me specifically as well. So maybe I want a sales rep to send on Jordan's behalf. Well, I can just click add users and I can add that so that they can actually send as Jordan for emails, workflows, etc. Okay. So that is a really, really helpful one. And not just helpful, but like you have to have that on if you're using any type of workflows, unless you're a solo user in Close CRM. The next up is calls reporting. And this one's really cool because we actually helped Close CRM design part of this. So when we come into the reports, we have a calls tab and it's relatively new. I believe it was added back in January of this year, 2026 or so. Now, when we come in here and let's just go into another account so we can kind of show you what this actually looks like. Let's go into, I don't know, we'll just pick a random account. So when we come into the calls tab, we can see here, we can see how many dials have been made. We can see the call's duration. We can see the call by disposition, and then we can see the unique leads data. And that's the one I want to talk about. So this is a metric that I help bring into Close CRM. Shout out to Matt Ryder at Dialer.io for having this metric in the first place. But the idea here is to understand what we're actually optimizing for. If we are only calling unique leads, that means we are not redialing leads. And redials are very, very important in any outbound process. The likelihood of someone picking up on the first outbound call is not so likely, right? So we want to make sure we're actually redialing. So this is going to look at your total calls versus the number of unique leads that were actually dialed. And we can see that 56% of the dials were made to unique leads. And that's not a bad number. We typically want to keep this between like 30 and 40%. So we're optimizing for redials. And we're not filling up the queue too far. Now, if you see this number get too big, meaning we have like 99% unique dials, What that means is we just have too many leads for the actual sales reps to handle, so we're not redialing. Alternatively, it may mean that your leads or your system is not set up to actually redial leads, and we're just calling people one time, and then who knows when we call that person again, might be a few days later instead of that same day. So we want to make sure that we're really shrinking that cadence and optimizing for redials, and this number will help you understand that. The next step is listening to live calls. So if we come into here, we can click on this conversations tab. And when we click on the conversations tab, you'll notice on this left-hand side, we have history and then live calls. So if you click on live calls, we can actually see who is on a call with who, and we can click to actually listen in. Okay. So if we come into this lead, for example, I have the ability to actually listen to this call. All right. Which is really, really nice. And you can also whisper to the person. So if I want to actually manage, and if you've ever worked in like the call center, then you know what that is like. So we can see here we have Sam. We can click listen, and we can actually listen to that call live. Now we can also whisper if we want to provide coaching. Now I do not recommend that you do that because it is quite distracting. Your sales reps have to be quite used to you speaking into their ear while they're talking to a client, for you to do that. But you can go listen to live calls. So if you're a manager wondering who should I actually listen to, just go into the live call, see who's on a call, and listen to that live, and then you can provide that feedback directly after that phone call. Now, the next is creating a list based on forms. So we have this activity tab over here, which is relatively new as well. But what a lot of people don't notice is we have a select a form. So we can select a custom activity, but we can also select a form right here. So we can see we have different forms here. We can do RevPilot test form, and then we'll be able to see all of the actual form submissions for that specific form. Now, again, this is just a demo account, so there's no data in there, but that is a feature that most people literally don't know exists in here. And then the last one is AI enrichment. So if we come over here to this side, we have AI knowledge sources, and we can actually add knowledge sources. So we can add a URL, or we can put text in here. So for example, if I say like this, I can go to RevPilot, and we can put in the actual RevPilot website, right? So if we go to revpilot.com, we can just grab this URL, and then we can just throw this guy in here, and then we could save that. Okay. Now there's also excluded paths, so we can prevent a specific page on our actual domain to not be used. But we can see this is pulling into here, so super easy. You can always enable or disable that right there. And then where is this actually used? Well, when we create a new custom field, we have AI enrichment templates on this left-hand side. So we can actually choose different things. So technology is used, for example. And what it's going to do is use AI to actually try to go and enrich this property. So we can see the actual guidance right here. You are a technographic specialist trained to identify a company's technological stack. Your mission is to determine which of the following user-specific technologies a company is using by scanning their website, source code, and job descriptions. Okay, so pretty freaking cool. And these are all templates on the left-hand side. Go to market motion, funding raised, funding round, etc. And then we can also just create our own. So we don't have to use that. Now, if we want to create our own, we just have to check enable enrichment, yes or no, and then provide the enrichment guidance right there. Okay. So pretty straightforward. Now, these are 10 unique features inside of Close CRM that most people do not even realize are inside of here. Now, if your account is not already optimized, if you don't have a system in place, do not focus on these small things. Go watch the other videos on the channel, or schedule a time to talk with me and someone on my team, and we can get an actual system in place. Once we have that initial system, the initial account structure in place, we have sales reps actually using it, we have the sales team managing to it, then we can focus on all these little details and continue to optimize your Close CRM account so that it is better than it's ever been. So I hope this video is helpful. If you make some money with these tips and tricks, please leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the other side.